Today, I hope to explain some ways to increase memory that are important in normal life that are not directly related to meditation. These are very important for those who are studying at any level of education, such as schools or universities or postgraduates. Two main processes take place in what is called memory. The first thing is to get a goal into the mind. But we can't remember something we haven't seen or studied. So the first step is important. The first way to increase memory is to organize the things we learn and remember. For example, it is not a good way to study science for 1 hour and then study literature for the next hour. Also, it is not a good way to start studying from the middle of a lesson. Studying in an orderly manner helps to remember those things in the long term. Our memory is like a closet. If you fold the clothes in an orderly manner and pack them separately, you can take them back quickly without getting confused. If you put your clothes in different places without folding them properly, your head will go crazy when you get them back. The second method, and the most important method, is to recall what is studied. Most of the time, we pretend to study only by reading books. Only data goes into the brain. We don't get used to getting them again. But what we have to do in an exam is to recall what we have memorized. If we don't practice recalling the things we remember before an exam, even if we try to pull out the stuff we put in our brain for the first time during the exam, it won't happen properly. Even before the exam, if we used to take out the memorized facts several times, we will remember those things quickly during the exam due to that habit. Even if you study the same lesson 100 times, if you don't practice repeating it without looking at the lesson, you won't remember it in an exam. This is the reason why many children study till the wee hours of the night, but end up getting less results. It's not the number of times you put it in, it's the number of times you take it out that causes the memory to intensify. Therefore, when studying something, you can increase your memory by about 80% by looking at the lesson and recalling the lesson at the same time. The other important thing is to study the same lesson twice a week. For example, if someone attends a class on Mondays once a week, they can go over what they learned at home that same night and then go back to the class the next Monday. And the things to be done the next day are well understood. In this way, if you study the lesson twice on the day of studying and before studying the next lesson, there will be nothing left to study after an exam. Because about 60% of the things to study are already memorized. One thing to be especially careful while studying is not to study for more than an hour at a time. Our brain cannot work for more than 40 to 50 minutes at a time. If you study for more than 50 minutes, you will not remember what you studied after 50 minutes. This is why schools allocate only 45 minutes for each subject. He should study for 40 minutes continuously, and after a break of 5 or 10 minutes, he should study again. But this does not apply to some subjects. Some subjects can be studied continuously for 2 hours without straining the brain. This is very applicable to subjects that have to be memorized by studying. This is not so relevant for subjects that have to do things like calculating and thinking of new things. Therefore, subjects such as science, mathematics, art, dance, music can be studied continuously for several hours without tiring the brain. Also, you can study the subjects you like for a few hours at a time. While studying and resting for about 10 minutes, do not use phones and computers at that time. Do something normal like walking, singing a song, curling up in bed, hitting a ball against the wall. When you go to work on the phone, the brain gets more tired. But don't divert that time away from studying and doing unnecessary work. Then it happens that studying is left aside and other work is done. Another very important thing that helps to increase memory is to have an overall view of the whole lesson, rather than remembering parts of one lesson separately. By grasping the parts of the lesson separately and understanding how they are related to each other, and having an overall idea about the lesson will be remembered well. Also, before starting a new lesson or a new section, close your eyes for about 5 minutes and meditate without thinking about anything. Or by focusing on your breath, your brain and mind will be relaxed and refreshed, and you will be in a good mood to study. Then the new lessons will be remembered separately, without piling on top of the previous lessons. Consuming foods like gotu-kola puree, cashews, peanuts, and sesame for about 3 weeks will improve memory to some extent. Besides this, there is a vitamin tablet called Bicosul that is used by many children in schools and universities. It has a lot of B vitamins. This vitamin increases brain function and increases blood supply to the brain. But you need to drink this only 1 tablet for 3 days. Also, it is not good to drink this continuously for more than 3 weeks. If we do that, our stomach will get used to the medicine. What happens is that the body stops absorbing vitamin B from the normal foods we eat. Then the absorption of vitamins from the normal foods we eat stops, and we have to take medicine with vitamins every day. So remember to drink only 1 pill every 3 days and not to drink it continuously for more than 3 weeks. It is not suitable for children younger than high school children to use this. One thing that helps a lot to increase memory is to study while reading aloud instead of just studying by heart, or studying while writing a short note. Then the memory is stored in several of our senses, because you remember much better than just studying. When you have to remember several things in a row, it becomes easier to remember those things by matching their letters or words and making something like a poem. And studying like a song is also a good way. Another best method is to study in groups once a week or once a month in addition to studying alone. There is a greater tendency to remember what someone else says than to study something alone. Also, group work gives the opportunity to look at the same issue from different angles. Memory develops by learning the same thing in different languages. You can develop your memory very well by telling someone else what you have learned. And when you learn something new, you remember it better by relating it to something you already know than by remembering it separately. By finding what they learn in other books and on the internet, they remember those facts very well. Just as a note, the images related to the facts in the books can be downloaded from the internet, and you can watch hundreds of related videos online. Also, there are a large number of articles written on educational matters on various websites. Rather than just learning from a note, you can get a better understanding of it by looking at images and videos related to it. It helps to remember well. For a very few, a lesson is learned only by reading the book. But that doesn't happen to the majority. Some people remember when they study by writing short notes, like short notes. By reading and writing instead of just watching, you can get a deep impression of what you learn. Therefore, instead of just looking at the book, study by reading orally and briefly writing the main points by hand. Among the meditations, it can be seen that the memory increases significantly by doing the Anapanasati meditation for half an hour or an hour every day.